The entire crypto market, I think, is 3 trillion or something like this at the moment. But RWAs are a massive, massive opportunity.
There are companies operating today that believe that technology can change how we interact with real estate.
We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets.
$1 billion of real-world assets on the blockchain, which is incredible. Congratulations, guys.
In July 2024, the company tokenized $500 million worth of real estate for Dubai-based MAG Group.
Mantra Finance has secured a Dubai VASP license.
There's about $278 trillion in assets globally, or just real estate alone. So we've only started to scratch the surface of it.
I wanted to make sure that Mantra had 100 billion by the end of 2026, and still 100 billion is kind of a drop in the ocean.
The World Economic Forum predicts 10 trillion of GDP on blockchain by 2027. So how do you see RWA contributing to that growth?
The entire crypto market, I think, is 3 trillion or something like this at the moment, mostly comprised of Bitcoin. But RWAs are a massive, massive opportunity, right? If you're thinking about all the different types of financial products and instruments, if we're talking about all the real estate, we're talking about all the things that aren't even really categorized yet that could be unlocked via tokenization. This is a massive, massive opportunity. I put out a tweet probably sometime at the end of last year that I wanted to make sure that Mantra had 100 billion by the end of 2026, and still 100 billion is kind of a drop in the ocean. And hopefully we'll exceed my expectations. Seems like actually things are moving in the right direction. We expect to have several billion on chain just within the next few months. Again, because we've been around for a long time, and we kind of had this resurgence last year. So really to see that come to work with the announcement of the $1 billion real estate tokenization deal that we're doing with Damak in the UAE, the announcement of our VARA licensing that just came out as a world's first. These are all things that show the credibility. It shows the maturity of the space in general, but also of Mantra. And that shows that just we're a serious player that's here to stay. But I think my main message is this is just the beginning for us. And we just launched our chain at the end of last year. The ecosystem is just getting developed. Internationally, we're expanding assets on chain. We're expanding our dApp ecosystem.
Do you remember the first time you ever bought some Bitcoin?
Absolutely do. So I was in university in Madrid. My friend Trey Tomlinson, shout out to Trey, was a computer science major and was messing around with stuff on the dark web. And he told me I should check this Bitcoin thing out. And this was like 2013. So Bitcoin is about $500. I was a poor college student, so $500 for me was a lot of money. But I got some exposure, got interested, and kept following it for some time. But I wanted to go on a traditional finance path, during school. So I, didn't necessarily go straight into, I never even thought that founding a company was something I could do. So I wanted to go into banking and, eventually ended up moving to Asia and then really went down the crypto rabbit hole, say probably 2015, 2016, when I actually was working at a bank, kind of interestingly.
Yeah, right. So what inspires you then as the co-founder of Mantra?
I never really thought that entrepreneurship was something that I, wanted to do as kind of like an accidental thing. And kind of the story was, after leaving my job at the bank, I wanted to do something. I tried to start an idea for, buying different types of luxury items with Bitcoin and crypto. And that didn't last very long because I ended up joining a crypto exchange project, moved down to Hong Kong, kind of started setting that up for a bit. Bear market hit very badly in 2018 and 2019. And honestly, just kind of had to figure stuff out. We did some early onset tokenization in 2019. We actually tokenized a professional basketball player's contract back in 2019, 2020. So that was kind of an interesting thing. And then honestly, I was just like straight up running out of money and going broke, and I had to do something. So we just figured something out. And I was an early DeFi user. So we thought building a DeFi application would be cool. So we started tinkering and building, and then just kind of went for it. And I think that's kind of the story of my life, my story of career. And I think that's one of the things that's made me a relatively successful entrepreneur so far. So young guy, I feel like it's truly my calling. So I never really feel like I'm working. I'm just, living life. And I've kind of found a way to make, life and work just kind of seamlessly become one thing. And I love it. And then they'll continue doing this for a very, very long time.
Can you tell us what inspired Mantra to create the real world asset tokenization accelerator and how it aligns with the growing interest in RWA as well?
We launched our mainnet end of last year in October. And one of the things when building on an ecosystem that builders require is capital and resources and technical support. So it's really important that we're able to fund and support builders coming in to build real world asset applications and infrastructure within the Mantra ecosystem. And having a partner like Google to be a key part of this RWA accelerator gives access to capital, access to technical support, and access to infrastructure that they wouldn't be able to get in other, ecosystems necessarily. So we want to spearhead that, really kick it off strong, and get builders building as rapidly as possible, experimenting, trying new things. And obviously, this helps us, push the boundaries of innovation for real world assets by having different types of applications and different types of products coming on chain. So we're really excited that we can finally start doing that. And, this accelerator is the starting point.
So how did the partnership with Google Cloud come about? And I guess what unique features does it bring to the program as well?
We got in touch with the Google team probably right after we launched our testnet, which was in April of last year, so almost a year ago. We started building a relationship, getting them familiar with some of the things that we were working on. We launched a mainnet in October, as I mentioned, and Google became a validator on the network. So, aside from actually just using Google Cloud infrastructure ourselves within our business, we also have them as a node operator on our network. And then, of course, we want to do this accelerator program together. So this is something that I've been working on for some time. But we have a lot of other things that we're working on in terms of integration. So actually, Google supports our testnet to allow actually developers and builders to come and get testnet tokens to start experimenting and trying things straight from their own hosted webpage. And we have a lot of other things on the kind of the technical side that we're cooking with them. But this accelerator part is quite important. As I mentioned, helps fund builders, gives them access to technical resources, both on the Mantra and the Google side, and gives them effectively free cloud, which all builders need to run applications.
What criteria will you use to select projects for the RWA Accelerator?
To be honest, it's open for everyone. The basic thing is you need to be building within our ecosystem, and you need to effectively pledge tokens that will be airdropped or distributed to our community of token holders.
Yeah.
So we've actually had a precursor to this last year. We had a couple of projects that were building different things. Actually, literally just downstairs, we're going to be hosting an event with one of them. That's in kind of an EV motorcycle project called Pisces. They're doing some really interesting stuff with tokenization, financing these motorbikes, which are deployed all over Dubai. But anywho, you need to be, again, building in the Mantra ecosystem. You need to be willing to distribute tokens to our community. This is a good way to distribute your token to a wide range of, token holders. And it's also good for our token holders, obviously, to get participation in these various different projects within the ecosystem. We're very open to whatever applications you may be interested in building. There's not like you need to be building this particular product or this particular app. So very open from that perspective. But again, Mantra aligned and Ohm token holder aligned. Those are the two main things.
What resources can participants of the RWA Accelerator expect to receive?
So we do everything from technical support, go-to-market, exchange support. We're listed on many major exchanges. We can help with those relationships. We can help with fundraising. We're obviously going to be committing capital ourselves. We will also be, giving, again, cloud infrastructure through Google. So you get free cloud. And, to be honest, depending on where these builders come from, you can come in and use our offices. We have offices in Hong Kong, offices in Dubai, expanding all over the place. Access to our network, office hours, things of this nature will obviously help with marketing support and things like that. So pretty comprehensive 0 to 1 type of building activity, just to really, allow builders who want to, leverage this network, this foundation that we built over the last 5 years to really kickstart their journey into RWAs. Another thing I think is quite important is legal and compliance support. We just also got recently issued the world's first kind of crypto native or on-chain native licensing from VARA in Dubai. So we have brokerage, exchange, and investment management licensing. That's all natively done on chain. So having that kind of understanding of compliance, legal frameworks is another thing that they'll be able to benefit from and really help them kind of learn from our mistakes and learn from our learnings over the last few years to really kickstart their activities.
What should the crypto community expect from Mantra and the Accelerator next?
Well, I think from the Mantra side, it's really just continuing to bring assets on chain and build up that dApp ecosystem. And then, of course, exchange integrations with the main net. We're on many different exchanges, but we're starting to see main integrations happen on Bybit last week. Gate will be next week. Kraken listed. So a number of different exchanges are starting to list the mainnet, which is great. In terms of kind of these dApps that are being built, obviously the Accelerator will be a really key part of that to bring early stage builders into the ecosystem, to bring interesting RWA focused and Mantra focused apps and applications and infrastructure to life. This will be critical for us to have that on-chain activity, meeting all these different assets that we're bringing on, from real estate to financial instruments, where there's this convergence of this kind of permissioned versus permissionless activity, which is really going to be where I think, RWAs and tokenization takes off. And I really firmly believe that tokenization will be, blockchain's iPhone moment, and Mantra wants to lead that. We will lead it, actually.
I guess touched on it before, but what does VARA's license approval mean for Mantra's growth?
I mean, it means a lot. It was a long time coming. We've been working on that for a number of years now. It was not easy to receive, and we're very thankful to be, working with a progressive regulator like VARA, and having them be supportive of something like what we're doing. It's a world's first, as I mentioned, to have a kind of on-chain native, crypto native licensing framework. But this is just a journey of that, because they want to try to do interesting stuff, but doing it in, again, the way that we like to build stuff, safely, compliantly, and not cutting corners. So having the right stakeholders, having the right regulatory support is really critical. And we believe that VARA, Dubai, and even just the broader UAE is a place where a lot of this innovation is going to happen and come from. And we're, again, happy to be at the leading front of that.
I guess, how does this license differentiate Mantra from other DeFi platforms in terms of compliance and legitimacy?
Well, for one, no one else has it. I think that's a big differentiator. I use this phrase a lot. You can fork code, but you can't fork a license.
Yes.
All right. And it is a competitive advantage. When used properly, it is something that distinguishes us. It brings institutional eyes and attention, because many regulated financial institutions, or just institutions in general, would prefer to work with a regulated partner because they know they can trust them. They know that they have certain processes in place for compliance and AML and KYC and all these other things that are important. And it just shows a level of maturity that people want to see when it comes to real world assets, because tokenization, real world assets, is fundamentally built on trust. And we think that licensing and the compliant approach really does help build that trust. And one of the reasons we work with a lot of these issuers in the UAE and other places is, they really work directly with me. And people ask, like, why wouldn't you tokenize on Ethereum? Why don't you tokenize Solana or whatever? I mean, great. Honestly, you can. And we expect in the end of the day that, people will tokenize on all different chains. And that's great. It's good for the industry as a whole. But if you want that purpose-built approach like our technology stack has, if you want that, laser focus on this particular problem, and if you want that direct access to myself and our team, if something goes wrong when you're tokenizing a product on Ethereum, you're not calling Vitalik. But if something goes wrong on Mantra, you can call me and we'll fix it.
This is the final one. Are there plans to secure other licenses in other jurisdictions? And if so, where?
Good question. For now, we're pretty happy with the VAR license, but we are, definitely open to the idea. And, we do have various M&A strategies about how we could approach that. There's always a build or buy mentality and question that you need to ask here. So, obviously the UAE is another market that has different emirates. It has different regulators. So that's something that we're actively always just keeping a pulse on. But other countries, Singapore is one of interest. Probably wouldn't be looking to get licensed in the US anytime soon, to be honest. We actually have a partner that we work with that's building on Mantra called Soma Finance that has a US partner broker-dealer called Entrepreneurial Capital in the US. So we actually already have some exposure in that direction, and that's going to be launching soon as well, which we're excited about. So we can do it in different ways. It's not always necessarily us having to be licensed, but we can work with other licensed partners that give us distribution in other places. Some of our biggest investors are licensed in many different jurisdictions. Laser Digital, for one, which is effectively Nomura, the big Japanese banking conglomerate, has licenses all over the place. So we can leverage a lot of their licensing capabilities as well for things that we're doing, because we work very closely with them on so many different types of transactions, tokenizations, all different type of stuff.